Before the Olympians ruled anything, they were the losing side of a war they weren't supposed to survive. Zeus wasn't born a king. He was born a fugitive, the sixth child of a father who had already swallowed the other five alive. And the war he waged to fix that lasted 10 full years, shattered mountains, and nearly tore the universe apart before it ever got started. This is the story of the Titanomachy, the war that decided who gets to rule. And it begins with a prophecy that turned a father into a monster. Cronus, king of the Titans, had a problem. He had taken his throne by betraying his own father, Uranus, ambushing him with a sickle and casting him aside. But as Uranus fell, he left Cronus with a curse.
You shall be undone.
One day,
dethroned by your own child.
To you. Cronus believed it, and that belief made him do something unthinkable. Every time his wife Rhea gave birth, Cronus took the newborn and swallowed it whole. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. 5 children, one after another, gone into the dark of their father's belly. Not dead, gods can't die, but trapped, imprisoned inside the very being who was supposed to protect them. By the 6th pregnancy, Rhea was done. She went to her mother, Gaia, the earth herself, and together they hatched a deception that would change history. When the baby came, Rhea hid him. Then she wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and handed it to her husband. And Cronus, the ruler of the cosmos,
bow before
the
your
most
ruler.
Powerful being in existence,
I control the cosmos.
Swallowed a rock. He never checked. That single moment of arrogance would cost him everything. The hidden child was Zeus. He was smuggled to the island of Crete and raised in a cave on Mount Ida, nursed by a divine goat named Amalthea. And here's the detail most people miss. Warriors called the Curetes stood guard outside that cave, clashing their spears against their shields day and night. Why? To drown out the baby's crying, because Cronus was always listening. One sound, one slip, and the future king of the gods would have been swallowed like the rest. Zeus grew up in secret, and he grew up angry. But he was smart enough to know that anger alone doesn't win wars. He needed an army. And his first 5 soldiers were sitting inside his father's stomach. So Zeus didn't attack, he infiltrated. Disguised as a cupbearer, he worked his way into Cronus's court and served the king a drink laced with a powerful potion. Some say mixed by the wise Titaness Metis herself. Cronus drank, and then his body betrayed him. He vomited up the stone first. Then, one by one, his 5 children came back into the world, fully grown, fully divine, and absolutely furious. In a single moment, Zeus went from a lone fugitive to the leader of 6 gods with a shared grudge. The Olympians were born, and the war began. But here's what the movies never tell you. The Olympians spent most of this war losing. Think about the matchup. On one side, 6 young gods with no weapons, no fortress, and no experience. On the other, the Titans, the primordial powers who had ruled since the dawn of creation, led by Cronus and championed by Atlas, a Titan so strong he would later be given the sky itself to carry. The Olympians took Mount Olympus as their base. The Titans held Mount Tartarus. And between those 2 mountains, the war raged for 10 years. 10 years of stalemate. 10 years of the earth shaking and the seas boiling, with neither side able to land a killing blow. Because how do you kill an enemy that cannot die? That's the trap of a war between immortals. No one falls, no one stays down. Victory couldn't come from strength, it had to come from strategy. And the answer came from the last place anyone expected. From Gaia, the earth, the mother of the Titans themselves. Gaia told Zeus a secret. Long ago, Cronus had made a terrible mistake. Deep beneath the world, in the black abyss of Tartarus, a pit so deep that an anvil dropped from Earth would fall for 9 days before reaching the bottom, Cronus had imprisoned his own brothers, 2 sets of them. The Cyclopes, 3 one-eyed giants who were master craftsmen, and the Hecatoncheires, 3 beings so monstrous that even gods feared to look at them, each one with 50 heads and 100 arms. Cronus had locked them away because he feared them, and Gaia's message was simple: free them and you win. So Zeus descended into Tartarus. He killed the monstrous jailer Campi shattered the chains, and released prisoners who had been rotting in darkness since before he was born. And those prisoners were grateful. The Cyclopes went straight to work at their forges, and what they created would define the gods forever. For Zeus, they forged the thunderbolt, not just a weapon, but the most devastating force in the cosmos. For Poseidon, the trident, capable of splitting the earth and commanding the seas. For Hades, the helm of darkness, a helmet that made its wearer completely invisible. For the first time in 10 years, the Olympians didn't just have fighters, they had firepower. And the Hecatoncheires? They became the ultimate artillery. 100 arms each, 3 of them. That's 300 boulders in the air at once, a continuous, crushing storm of stone that no army could stand against. The final battle wasn't a fight, it was an apocalypse. Ancient poets said the sea screamed, the earth crashed, and the heavens groaned under the strain. Hades slipped behind enemy lines unseen and destroyed the Titans' weapons. Poseidon's trident carved chaos through their ranks. The Hecatoncheires buried the battlefield under an avalanche of 300 boulders at a time. And above it all, Zeus unleashed the thunderbolt without pause, bolt after bolt after bolt, until the forests of the world caught fire, the rivers boiled away, and the very air burned. Legend says the heat was so intense that chaos itself, the void from before creation, began to melt. Zeus wasn't just winning a battle, he was threatening to undo existence, daring the Titans to keep fighting. They couldn't. The Titans broke, and Zeus's punishment was worse than death, because death was never an option. The defeated Titans were cast down into Tartarus, the same abyss where Cronus had imprisoned his brothers, sealed behind bronze gates built by Poseidon. And here's the poetic justice. The Hecatoncheires, the prisoners Cronus had locked away, became the eternal wardens of his prison. The jailed became the jailers. Cronus had created the exact instruments of his own downfall, twice. First, by swallowing children who came back to destroy him. Then, by imprisoning brothers who came back to bury him. Atlas got a special sentence. As the Titans' greatest champion, he wasn't thrown into the pit. He was marched to the western edge of the world and forced to hold up the sky on his shoulders. Forever. Every sunrise, every sunset, for all eternity, the strongest Titan reduced to a living pillar, a permanent monument to what happens when you challenge Zeus. But not every Titan fell. And this is the part of the story that reveals who Zeus really was. Not all Titans fought against him. Themis, the Titaness of justice, sided with the Olympians. So did her son Prometheus, who saw the future and knew exactly how this war would end. Oceanus stayed neutral, and Zeus remembered. Those who joined him were rewarded and honored. Styx, who brought her children to fight for Zeus, was given the highest honor of all. From that day forward, the gods swore their unbreakable oaths on her name. Zeus punished his enemies without mercy, but he paid his debts without fail. That's not just power, that's politics, and it's why he kept the throne. With the war over, the 3 brothers divided the universe by drawing lots. Zeus won the sky and became king of the gods. Poseidon took the seas. Hades drew the underworld, the realm of the dead. The earth itself was left as common ground, shared by all. The age of the Titans was over. The age of Olympus had begun. But before you go, sit with the full shape of this story, because it's darker than it looks. Uranus was overthrown by his son Cronus. Cronus was overthrown by his son Zeus. 2 generations, 2 kings, 2 betrayals. A perfect, unbroken pattern. And Zeus knew it. He spent the rest of his reign haunted by the same prophecy that haunted his father. That one day, a child of his would rise up and take it all. When he learned that the Titaness Metis, the same one who helped him free his siblings, might bear a son destined to surpass him, Zeus did something horrifyingly familiar. He swallowed her whole. The liberator used his father's playbook. The cycle he broke, he was terrified of continuing. And that's the real genius of this myth. The Titanomachy isn't just a war story. It's the ancient Greeks telling us that every ruler is one prophecy away from becoming the tyrant they replaced. Zeus won the sky, the throne, and the universe. But he never won the one thing Cronus never had either, the certainty of keeping it. 10 years of war, a prison of gods, a universe carved up by lottery, and a king who could never stop looking over his shoulder. If this story gripped you, you're going to want to hear how Zeus faced a monster so terrifying that every other god fled Olympus. A creature with 100 dragon heads that came within one move of ending his reign forever. That's the story of Typhon, and it's waiting for you right here on Greek Mythos Pro. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next legend.